I'll figure this out one year. Reaction Monday early. John, hear you there. Thanks for coming by for SDH AM because, see, and this is where I wish I had the Machop Chol drop, where he used to say it's match day. That's what you've got here in Atlanta. Match day number 1 for Atlanta when it comes to the World Cup. 8 dates coming up starting today, 3 of them in 7 days. So it's going to come fast and furious this week. In trying to figure out, no, Alex, it is not, because it is a match day. Here's what I have kind of decided. So, because of the noon kick, I've got to find a way to get out of the studio and get downtown to what soon will be Atlanta Stadium. So, what I've figured out is this. We'll come on at 8:05, get off about 9:30, and then that gives me a chance to sprint out of the studio and head down to what will be Atlanta Stadium for all of the match days. So when there is an Atlanta match day that is at noon, this will be the format. Coming on an hour early, not getting any sleep. My eyes are already reminding me of this. So the noon match days here in Atlanta will come on at 8:05, be out by about 9:30, and then everyone can go about their day. Morning, Alex, by the way. So, yes, see now, Alex sees that. See, this is the way. This is the way. This is the absolute way. See the bat signal, you join the stream. Fantastic stuff. All right, the rundown for today is this. We're going to go back over what happened yesterday, and we got a boatload of sound and some goals to get into and discuss. Opening kickoff is going to be our friends from Curacao. We'll get into that. We'll go over the matches from yesterday, and we'll get you set up for the matches today. Instead of the normal Monday appearance for Abe Gordon batting leadoff, he is going to be batting 9th. So Abe will come in hour number 2, and he will come in with his thoughts, and then we'll give you the AM news, and then we'll get you out the door so everyone can head downtown and be a part of everything or just watch it from home. However it is being distributed within your own household, here is how it's going to be. Cabo Verde making their first ever World Cup appearance. Nation of just over 500,000, 2010 champs in Spain. Fan marches, just so you know. The Spain fan march is set for 9:30 from the Casa España at Mitchell and Forsyth to Gate 4, or entrance G. Cabo Verde's fan march. And we saw Cabo Verde fans yesterday. I was downtown for the -1s, and that will be part of what we hear as well. Cabo Verde's fan march at 10. They're going from 170 Northside Drive to Vine City Marta. So that's the rundown for today. Fan march from Casa España to entrance G, or Gate 4, 170 Northside to entrance A. 9:30 for Spain, 10 o'clock for Cabo Verde. Gates open at 9. And it's a noon kick. Once again, the FIFA Fan Festival from 10 to 8. Also, we'll get you into what's going on match day 2 and all those kinds of things coming up a little later. SCAD has partnered with the host committee, Metro Chamber in the city of Atlanta, for the Wayfinding campaign, arts activations, and social media strategies. More than 200 SCAD students and alums contributed to the host city and the host committee initiatives through art, panoramic campaign implementation, seamless integrated technology. You've got an interactive map with the last mile, wayfinding, murals, art installations, etc. Fan updates once again for the fan festival. You can always follow them on Facebook, Instagram, 280, and they've even got a WhatsApp channel. So that's the rundown for today. Once again, gates open at the top of the hour if you're heading down that way. Opening kickoff, once again, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. starting your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnuts and semi-sweet chocolate, rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Along those lines, let's get you back into what happened yesterday. It was an important day for Curacao, considering everything that they have gone through in qualifying, representing CONCACAF. They got to have their day yesterday. Squaring up against Germany, yes, we know. But when you get to have a moment like this, this puts everybody on their heels early on in the match. It certainly did just that, once again, courtesy of our friends at FIFA.
Coming in, Sear, nudging behind towards Hansen. There's Lucadia, and there's the strike, and there's the equaliser! Oh, unbelievable! History in Houston! A nation of scarcely more than 100,000 souls has just silenced millions.
In the 20s, it was 1-1. And when you had a moment like that, if you were a neutral in that building, you definitely were swinging your favoritisms toward Curacao at that point. It was 1-0, early goal. You were thinking, okay, Germany's going to just kind of roll their way through this one. You get that goal, make it 1-1. Houston's NRG, basically, what is now Houston Stadium for the next 6 weeks, went upside down for a couple of different reasons. Understandably so. From there, it was a dominant performance from Germany. Yes, I know. But when you get to have moments like that for a nation that is representing the what happens when you have everything come together for you in a qualifying cycle, and you have that moment to go 1-1, that was, literally everybody in our WhatsApp group went nuts, understandably so. But yeah, when you have Levano Caminense score to make it 1-1, you're sitting there going, uh-oh. Then you end up with, from there, it was 6 goals on the board in a row for Germany. And then you end up with, once again, 7-1 your final. Kai Havertz, obviously, your superior player of the match. And you had Nagelsmann after the match sit here and say that he was very satisfied. Took us a few minutes to get back into the game after they equalized. Curacao can play football, too, as we saw. And I'm curious how they'll fare in the group going forward. Very satisfied with us scoring 7 goals, and our performance for the most part. A winning start is always important. We're glad we managed it. And they certainly did that. So 7-1 your final after being equalized at 1. So then after the match, here is part of what Dick Advocaat had to say after what happened in Houston. So, and it was obviously a very emotional time for Dick Advocaat with everything that he has gone through personally to come back to this moment. And it was addressed. So once again, here's a post-match with Dick Advocaat after the loss to Germany yesterday.
What does the result tell you for the next game against Ecuador?
No, the next game is a different game and the other one as well. Oh. Nee, dus we hebben gezegd, we bekijken het.
No, as we said, we take this one match at a time. We had expected to be able to do more against Germany, but we couldn't. They simply were too strong. Now, we conceded some very easy goals, 2-3 against them. So, normally speaking, 4-1 would have been a normal score. But in terms of quality, Germany was stronger than we were. Carl. Dick, before the match, after the national anthem, you became very emotional. Can you tell us why? Can you tell us what you essentially felt at that moment? This is related with the joy, once again, with the joy of the people in Curacao, as you could see after the match. And then really it's better for me to go inside, because it may be a matter of my age, but this is when the emotion comes to the surface, and I have to try and prevent this. Personally, I don't really like it, but it simply happens. But the joy, despite this outcome 7-1, the joy of the people is fantastic.
So Dick Advocaat, obviously, in a mix of languages, English, Dutch, etc. But I thought it was important to hear his response to that question about becoming emotional. Remember, Dick Advocaat, he got them, I believe it was literally just shy of qualifying. And he had to step away because of the health issues related to his daughter. And it was pretty much just navigate. I think it was one match that they should have taken care of, and they did. Then they qualified, but Dick Advocaat got them right there and then went to, as priorities are, you go and take care of what was going on. And various reports that are linked to it, and the most common one was that his daughter is fighting cancer. And so Dick Advocaat steps away. He goes to be with family. They qualify, and then he's asked to return. And so you have that moment in Houston yesterday where you have Curacao in the tournament, national anthem goes, then you have the match in and of itself. You get down early, you have the equalizer, but then obviously Germany controls it from there. They go on to win it 7-1. And it was still one of those moments that, you sit there, and when you're reminded of this tournament, it's one of those moments that's going to stick with you for obvious reasons, and it's going to be that way on a bunch of different levels. So obviously the win for Germany was expected. 7 goals on the board. It was after 1-1, you scored 6 in a row, and then you end up with the 7-1 final. I'm sitting here and I'm trying to find the PDF real quick just so I can get you. Yes, I agree. Well, I agree to terms of service. Yes, I know. All right. So where is, it's like, so 3-1, 3-1, 3-1. So I'm looking for goals. I just want a match report, Oh, and by the way, the answer was 26. Because the total shots for Germany was in Picks of the Week in the Discord. The answer is 26, in front of an announced crown of 68,021. So it was Nemeka, Kamenencia, Schlotterbeck, and then in the second half, Musiala, Nathaniel Brown, Denis Undav, Kai Havertz. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I think there was an own goal in there somewhere. Yeah, I think there was an own goal. So that was the rundown there. 7-1 your final, but it's going to be something that you remember. It literally is. It's going to be something that you remember. And that was match 1. That was how the day started. That was how the day started yesterday, was with that particular match. Netherlands and Japan went nuts. Group F, understandably so. And it was back and forth, and it was chaos, and it was one of those that you're definitely going to remember for one of the early matches of the opening rounds. And so here's your highlights of this one once again. Thanks, as always, to our friends at FIFA for this particular go-around. And this one, once again, back and forth, and you had to pay attention the entire time.
And it's in. Virgil van Dijk puts his trademark on the opening game for the Netherlands in the 2026 World Cup. Oh, deflected and in. Nakamura had the shot. They've got the rallying cry. Gravenberch, who gets into those positions and doesn't shoot as often as you might think, but Somerville's having a crack here. Oh. He's off and running, and the Dutch are back in front. They're looking for a second equaliser with Kubo. Oh! Wow. Gakpo still going here. Ito with the corner. Oh! It's 2-2. It's Ogawa. It's Bedlam here in Dallas. It was so much better game in the second half. All the goals coming in the second period.
And it was. The first half, they kind of were very, very cagey toward one another. Second half was absolutely insane. And it was well worth it to keep an eye on that one as a part of the afternoon. And so you had to, and this was the U.S. crew, by the way. This was the U.S. officiating crew that was attached to this match. Ismail Elfath was in the middle. It was Corey Parker And hang on just a second. Let me see if I can find my notes here. I don't like trying to find notes on a match day when you're trying to get things done early. Where is it? Okay. Armando Villarreal was your VAR. Ismail Elfath, Corey Parker, and Kyle Atkins, your referee and your 2 ARs. So that was a cool moment for U.S. soccer to have a U.S. crew. And although I think at one point Ismail Elfath got in the way, and it was a bit of a coming together, unintentional, but Ismail Elfath did get in the way at one point. So it was Netherlands and Japan 2-2 final there, and you end up once again. You figured this was pretty much going to be the way that it would finish, and it did exactly that. So it was a 2-2 draw, very, very entertaining second half, and it was Somerville and Van Dijk scoring for the Netherlands in the 50th and the 64th, reversed. And then so Van Dijk scores in the 50th, Nakamura scores 57, Somerville scores after he commits a foul that created the Nakamura goal. Then Somerville comes back, redeems, gets the goal in the 64th, and then Daichi Kamada scores in the 88th. 2-2 your final there. And the Netherlands and Japan honors even once again. No real surprise that went down the way that it did. So big work there. Then they go to Philly yesterday, and it was Cote d'Ivoire and Ecuador. And I know a lot of you may sit there and look at pitchers' duels and you look at a scoreline and go, oh, 1-0, what happened there? No, this was very entertaining. Ecuador had a lot of shots on the table. Possession, 51-49-ish. The one goal on the board late, we'll get you that highlight in a second. Then you have 27 total shots, 15 by Cote d'Ivoire. 4 on target compared to 1, which meant 10 off target for Ecuador compared to 8. 8 shots inside the penalty area compared to 5 for Cote d'Ivoire. Outside the 18, honors even at 7 there. Final third entries, it was 28. Let's see. Oh, okay, so this is broken down even more than I'm used to. So 20, 32, 49. And then Cote d'Ivoire saw something going down the right-hand side. 25 final third entries coming down the right channel. So 27, 40, 50, so literally 51-49 final third entry. So this was about as even as it got. Offers to receive. So received passes, difference was 6. Out of 672 passes, the difference was 6. That's how even it was there. You got attempted line breaks, 191 to 177. I like how FIFA breaks all this stuff down. This is pretty cool. So once again, line breaks in the overall, separated by 14 over 368 total. 4 yellows, 3 to Ivory Coast. Keep an eye on that. 23 fouls, not a whole lot, called by Ismail Elfath. 13 for Ecuador, 10 for Ivory Coast. And so, like I said, this one was about as even as it got across the board. But it comes down to moments. And we talk about these moments, and you end up with stuff like this that happens in the 90th minute. This is courtesy of our friends at Fox. JP Della Camera on the call.
Subs, by the way, have 10 seconds. Everybody's scrambling to get back. A sea of orange on the attack. Played in the middle. The shot taken. And they've scored. Ivory Coast is on the board. It's Saman who came through.
Amad Diallo given credit in the 90th minute, 1-0 your final. And that's obviously big result for Ivory Coast. And our man Sebastian Bekasese accounted himself well with Ecuador. Didn't get any points out of the deal. That close for Ecuador. It was a very, very entertaining game. But once again, and this was a point that we had yesterday when we were talking amongst ourselves in our production chat, that we've been able to see Sebastian Bekasese, or as I referred to him as Grandmaster Bekasese, ever since Defensa y Justicia. We've had him pegged since then. And then go back into the timeline and look at his outfit that he broke out for the World Cup draw. But to see Sebastian Bekasese go from Defensa y Justicia when we started talking about him to where he is now as the Ecuador national team coach, it has been very cool to see that kind of progression. But Amad Diallo scores, given credit for the goal, 90th minute, and it ends up with 1-0 the result. Big result for Ivory Coast in the group. We'll go over group standings coming up in a bit. Then your nightcap in Monterrey, and it was a big night for Sweden. It was big. Big, 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 big. How big was it, you ask? 5 on the board. Here's your highlights, once again, courtesy of our friends at FIFA.
Started his run forward. He's trying to find a way past the goalkeeper, who's swiping. A huge error, a massive block. The attack continues. The strike is there, and it is superb. Yasin Ayari with an absolute rocket. The chance will open up. There's the strike. Alexander Isak finds the back of the net to double Sweden's lead. Good delivery, the header's there, and it's in! Omar Rekic! The Club Advocaat, as they claimed their first title, it's given away to Isak. Has the ball at his feet, rolls it to one side! Gyökeres! It's 3 for Sweden! A lovely back heel, and there's the goal! Well, he's not been on the pitch a second!
Final decision goal.
And there we go. They had to check, they had to listen, they couldn't hear the referee. Chance opens up once again. It's an exceptional strike.
And that's your final, 5-1. And so everybody's sitting there thinking kind of like it was in the United States match. Okay, yeah, we're north of 90. Everything's fine. Yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll get you rolling. Everything's cool. Nah. Ayari scores again at 90 plus 6. So Ayari scored, just to recap the highlights. Yasin Ayari scores in the 7th, Isak in the 30th, Gyökeres in the 59th after VAR. Svanberg scores in the 84th, and then Svanberg was the VAR goal. So Gyökeres 59, Svanberg 84, Ayari 90 plus 6. And for those of you that don't know Yasin Ayari's story, it is, part of his, I think it's Tunisian mother and Swedish father. And he wanted to, Tunisia reached out just before the 22 World Cup. They were like, hey, we'd love to have you. But his dad told Aftonbladet, and you were watching the highlights and you were watching the match, you saw how muted Ayari's celebration was. Born in Sweden, father was born in Tunisia. So here it is. So born in Sweden, father born in Tunisia. Tunisian Federation called ahead of the 22 World Cup to see about the one-time switch. Ayari stayed. His father told the Swedish newspaper Aftonbladet, quote, "My son wanted to play for Tunisia, but I asked him to represent Sweden, the country that welcomed him and developed him." And so now Graham Potter ends up with the benefits. Swedish national team gets the benefits as well. 5-1 win. You heard the Rekic goal at 43 that made it 2-1, but the second half was all Sweden. Speaking of Graham Potter, here is Graham Potter post-match. Once again, courtesy of our friends at FIFA.
I thought it was, obviously it's a great night for us, a great start. I thought a solid team performance that then allowed Alex and Victor to show their quality, which obviously they did. But, there was lots of positives for us in terms of stability defensively. I thought, obviously, goals from midfield, the impact of the substitutes. I thought it was it's obviously a good night to start the tournament with 5-1, and a win is fantastic for us.
Graham Potter after the match. So here's your standings as we are still winding our way through match days 1. It's got to be like Poets Laureate. Group A, Mexico, Korea, 3 points separated by 1 goal and goal difference. So Mexico +2, Korea Republic at +1. Czechia and South Africa, obviously, with the losses on the board, -1 and -2 in goal difference. So Mexico, Korea Republic, Czechia, South Africa. First 2 with 3 points, second 2 with none. Group B, Switzerland, Canada, Qatar, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Honors even, nothing changed. Everything is the same after match day 1. Keep an eye out on the 4-4-4-4 scenario. You could be going down a couple of different tiebreakers if it stays this locked in over the next 2 match days. Match days 2 and 3 are going to be huge in Group B. 1 point each team, nothing in goal difference, considering both matches were 1-1 draws. Group C, Scotland with the win. They're on top of the group. And yes, sir, they can boogie. Morocco and Brazil, 1 point each after their 1-1 draw. Haiti, obviously, after the loss, no points and -1 in goal difference. U.S. group, USA and Australia on top. USA on top by goal difference by 1. Turkey and Paraguay, once again, no points. Turkey at a -2, Paraguay at a -3. Group B after yesterday. Germany, obviously, +6 in goal difference. They're on top of Ivory Coast. Ecuador and Curacao are 3 and 4. Group F, Sweden on top, obviously, with the 5-1 win. They're at +4. Japan and Netherlands with the 2-2 draw there in the middle. Tunisia, a lot of work to do. And the fact that Tunisia gave up 5 to Sweden is a bit of a shocker coming out of yesterday. Group G, that's part of today. Group H, part of today. That's what today's about. We'll talk about them in a sec. So that's where we are. G and H in action today. I and J in action tomorrow. K and L in the midweek. So that gets us to today. And reminder, by the way, Atlanta, you are a World Cup city. You're a World Cup city today. Enjoy it. Enjoy the experience. It's going to be the first of 8 that you got, but it's a chance to show off. And you've been showing off a great deal so far with the Fan Fest and all of that, all the pictures that have come out of there, all of the new, if you want to say new relationships, new friends that you get. Alex, you had mentioned in the Twitch pitch, going to Fan Fest on Saturday. I'll spend an hour talking to a Spaniard who lives in Philly. I was here to watch Spain play in person for the first time. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. And you are absolutely correct, Alex. Football is beautiful. So that's what this is about, having those kinds of experiences. And not just, in the environment of in and around what will be Atlanta Stadium coming up in a bit. But what we saw with Curacao, what we're seeing with Cabo Verde, all of the new guys coming in, Uzbekistan, all the ones that haven't been here in a while, DR Congo for 54 years, Haiti, all of these new folks and all these folks that have been, first time, long time. And the shared experiences that we have with all of these national teams and all their fans and all this kind of stuff. It's about Chattanooga. It's about Lawrence, Kansas. It's about, in as much as it is about the home cities, it's about the interactions that you have with all of these fans. All of these places in between, Spokane, Washington, the suburbs of New York and New Jersey, and the tri-state. I think the number was 19 different locations that have nothing to do with hosting a match are attached to the tournament in one way or another, whether you're a headquarters or you're a workout, a workout place to hide. See Spain, the Baylor School. It's about all of that stuff. That's what happens when you don't have an end table. It's about all these things. And Atlanta, as a match day city, gets the first chance to show off today. Noon kick, and we got a lot of stuff to get into. So yesterday were the match ones, the match day -1 press conferences. And for those of you that may not know the history of Cabo Verde, their manager is a legend in the nation. Pedro Leitão Brito, born on Cape Verde in 1970, had a 10-year professional career, 21 caps for the national team in a 16-year period. He's been managing since 2012 professionally. Then in 2020, he became the manager, the head coach of Cabo Verde. October 13, 2025, we covered it. 3-0 win at home against Eswatini, second smallest nation ever to reach the World Cup after Iceland did it in 2018. CAF Coach of the Year in 25 at the CAF Awards. 64 caps as a manager, if you want to call it that. 31, 16, and 17. And so yesterday at the MD -1s, Bubista was asked by me what the most challenging part of this whole ride has been and what's the most satisfying thing about this ride to get to today in a noontime kick. Here's his answer. And it is also through the FIFA translator because his answer is in Portuguese.
Poder trabalhar a mentalidade dos nossos jogadores.
To work with the mindset of our players. We had achieved qualification for the final phase of CAN. So the most difficult thing was to change players' mindsets so that we could focus on qualifying for the World Cup and to be here today. I believe we have experienced players, young players with many qualities. We wanted to take this step, and thank God we managed. The most rewarding moment was, of course, when we qualified for the World Cup. It was rewarding not only on a personal basis, but for all of our people and for the players, because we somehow managed to change and improve that mindset. And that applies to all of our people in Cabo Verde and outside Cabo Verde. We managed to provide this bit of happiness to them that our qualification offered. That was the most extraordinary moment in our career.
And if you remember what it was like, and if you saw the scenes on Twitter, and we watched, I think it was on BN. By the way, you can get BN, you can get all the BNs, and Fanatis, who is covering Argentina like nobody's business, through our friends at Fanatis, // soccer down here. That link helps them out, helps you out, helps us out, gets you a lot of the streaming services and a lot of the matches in South America. Liga 1 Max Pro, all the BNs, which gets you into Europe, and in league play, it gets you into Africa and the AFCON qualifying and Champions League, all that stuff that you get. Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru, Tigo Sports links, CATV links, Libertadores, Sudamericana, Copa Argentina on TIC, TVV out of Venezuela if you wish, CDO out of Chile as well. You can get that at fanatis.ftz.co/soccer down here. But we got to watch the AFCON qualifiers on BN, and to see the moment when they beat Eswatini 3-0, they get into the tournament. Place was absolutely bonkers, and it should have been. It was a fantastic moment for the sport. And so now to have them here getting ready for a noon kick, that's the fun part here. Fun part for us. Kind of nerve-wracking and getting ready for it. At practice yesterday, caught up with longtime national team player Gary Rodriguez and Vojinha, who was probably going to be getting the start in net against Spain coming up here in 3.5 hours. And Vojinha just turned 40. A couple of names on the Cabo Verde roster that you might know that may trigger a memory as such. CJ Dos Santos, the keeper for San Diego FC. He's on this active roster. He did the one-time switch, and he is backup keeper to Vojinha. And you can't miss him because after getting his nose broken a couple months ago, he still wears the Phantom of the Opera mask. Or it's more like the Hamburglar mask. And then Steven Moreira, who has created a lot of problems for teams in the Eastern Conference from his position on the back line for Columbus Crew. So just two names that you know going in. And then Pico Lopez, whom we know from his time in Ireland. And, he's winning awards at the Irish Soccer, the Irish Soccer Awards and things like that. And we followed Pico's story. And we'll get into that probably today and later on as the tournament continues. But his story is probably one of the more unique ones when it comes to national team duty, following a LinkedIn request that was written in Portuguese, so he ignored it for 9 months. So there are players that have recognition factor when you walk in the door. So Steven Herrera, CJ Dos Santos, Pico Lopez. We caught up with Gary Rodriguez and Vojinha yesterday at practice about how it is and how they're getting this close to getting this close, if you know what I mean. So here is that sound from practice yesterday at the Matchday -1s. So, I mean, you're at Matchday -1, Gary. What's the vibe like right now?
We're feeling very good. It's a good day, one day before the World Cup. Tomorrow starts everything, and of course excited. But it's still football, so we have to enjoy also and make the best we can do tomorrow.
How much feedback have you got from back home and everybody that's close to the program? What was the response been like getting ready for this moment?
We get a lot of support from outside social media, and we have also a lot of people flying over, so we're feeling it. It's coming close to us. So I think, like I said, everybody is excited. It's a historical moment for our country, so we're just living it, and it's a good feeling, good feeling.
All right, so you're one day away. I know that there were moments when it was real that this was happening, but is it any more real now that you're here a day before?
Yes, it's coming closer to the start of our game. I think for many of us, we just dream with this moment, and now that will be real tomorrow. We are very honored and very privileged to be here in the big stage of the football in the world.
What do you think about Spain, the favorite team of this World Cup?
Spain is one of the best national team with one identity, and doesn't matter who play or who not. Their system and their identity is always the same. We know it will be a really difficult game, and but in a World Cup, for all the games will be difficult. We know we are new in this tournament, but we will do everything to be proud of all our players and to honor our country and our people.
Saber que o mundo inteiro vai estar de olhos em vocês amanhã, mais do que uma pressão, é uma motivação para vocês?
Sim, para nós.
There you go. There's the conversation, and just catching up with Gary Rodriguez and Vojinha leading into the match yesterday. So just to let you know, it is, we'll get into juice boxes here just to kind of lay it all out for you. And yes, shocking no one, Cabo Verde is a large underdog. Just to let you know, but the World Championship odds as they are laid out, it is Spain and Cabo Verde. Spain is a -1250 at noon. Draws a +1400. Cabo Verde is a +3500. Belgium and Egypt is at 3 o'clock. Belgium a -167. Draws a +309. And Egypt is a +500. Saudi Arabia and Uruguay at 6 o'clock. Saudi Arabia +700. Draws a +333. Uruguay is a -222. Then the late game at 9 o'clock tonight, Iran and New Zealand. Iran is a -120. Draws a +240, and New Zealand is a +380. Along those lines, for the nightcap, questions were asked of Darren Baisley and Chris Wood for New Zealand at the MD -1 press conference. And so here are their early thoughts coming into the matchup late night against Iran here today.
You know, we've had a good build-up. We're excited. We've waited a long time to be here, you know, to come back to a World Cup. We've been preparing for a few years now, and all the players are in good space. We're excited to get going. We've obviously been watching a lot of the games on the television and just raring to go now.
And Chris, from a player's point of view, obviously 16 years since New Zealand was at the World Cup. How does it feel to be back here and ready to go tomorrow?
Yeah, it's the exact same feeling. It's excitement. It's a joy to be back here, and we're looking forward to the challenge we have ahead.
Chris Wood, man of no nonsense. Chris Wood, he's ready to go. So they're dialed up. And so once again, they are a large underdog tonight going up against Iran. And them's your matchups, kids. That's what it's looking like today with the schedule and the layout and the where and the when. So obviously the match at what will be Atlanta Stadium at noon. Obviously we'll have all of our coverage all day long. Then on social medias, then it is us during the day. Jason tonight, 10 o'clock, 92.9 The Game, Odyssey app, 92.9 The Game, YouTube channel, full reaction from Spain and Cabo Verde, everything else going on, Belgium, Egypt, Uruguay, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and New Zealand. Belgium and Egypt are playing in Seattle, so you get a back-to-back noon kick, East Coast, West Coast. Saudi Arabia and Uruguay are in Miami at Miami Stadium. And then at SoFi, which I guess now is technically LA Stadium or Los Angeles Stadium, it is Iran and New Zealand, and that is going on once again. It is noon, 3, 6, 9 today on your networks of choice. But obviously we'll have all of the coverage from at what will be Atlanta Stadium coming up here all day long. Like I said, we're wrapping up in about 45 minutes. And then we're heading downtown. And then it's going to be on all of our platforms, and keep an eye out on all of that. And then Atlanta Soccer tonight, 10 to midnight, or 10 until. Just 10 until at this point. So 92.9 The Game, Odyssey app, 92.9 The Game YouTube channel starting at 10 o'clock. The three-dimensional experience that they're doing this year. And then 11 o'clock stoppage time heading to the 92.9 The Game YouTube channel. Set your notifications for all that if you haven't done so already. We got a little bit of, I guess it's this. I'm going to go ahead and play this because we're kind of in one of those zones where those of us on the outside are looking at it, but those on the inside haven't said anything yet. So we'll go here. Reports are that Tunisia have sacked Sabri Lamouchi after their loss to Sweden. This is from our buddy Ben Jacobs, and Romain Molina has been on top of this as well. Depending on where you stand when it comes to the status of broken news, depending on whom you've looked at this morning, there was a fight. It is alleged that there was a fight in the locker room. Or sorry, a fight in the hotel. My bad. Sorry. Let me rewind that for a second. So it was reported that Sabri Lamouchi is sacked after a fight at the Tunisian hotel. And this comes from our friends at the International Window and the Window Pod. So there is once again the chaos of apparently what is going on in the Tunisian Federation, and Romain Molina has been reporting on it for the last couple of months. So after one match, it looks like Sabri Lamouchi is sacked because there had been a fight at the team hotel. Obviously, losing 5-1, and then, the folks are going to be a little frayed on the edges. And then there you end up with the first alleged apparent sacking of the morning. And so Romain Molina and Matteo Trabelsi reporting, and this is Trabelsi this morning. And for those who may not know Trabelsi, freelance journalist, he is in Intifada, Jeune Afrique, Le Peuple Media, and Paris Normandie. And so Intifada is a 2014 independent nonprofit media outlet based in Tunisia. So Matteo Trabelsi and Romain Molina, and this was very early this morning, even before we came on, Trabelsi and Molina, we had discussed Lamucci's behavior in the locker room and his weak ability to rally the team. Trabelsi and Molina were accused of lying to destabilize the group. Result, fired after the first group stage match. Bravo, coach. It must be the journalist's fault. So Trabelsi and Romain Molina have been discussing this for quite some time, apparently. And so you now have, it is alleged, but nothing official as of yet from the Tunisian Federation. So, of course, I dropped my pen on the floor and I can't find it. So what happens when you're trying to rest something on your, absolutely disappeared on me. Oh, that's good. Good work. It's a Monday. Anyway, so it appears we've had our first sacking after a fight at the team hotel after Tunisia lost last night 5-1. So follow Romain Molina and Matteo Trabelsi and perhaps the Tunisian Federation, and now we're going to be probably keeping an eye on them. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's all the way over at the other end of the set. Hang on just a second. I'm going to disappear out of frame because I'm trying to find my pen. There we go. Okay, so Trabelsi and Molina reporting that there was a fight at the team hotel last night after the 5-1 loss, and it appears that Sabri Lamouche has been unofficially sacked, and no word yet from the Federation as to whether or not, let's see. So let me see if there's anything that has come to the fore when it comes to, let's see, emergency meet. And this is various sources, once again, that have been kind of laying everything out here. Emergency meeting requested by members of the federal office. Wabi Khazri could serve as the interim until the end of the World Cup. Let's see. I'm trying to see if, and then after the match last night, Lamouche said, "We must have a consciousness key. We cannot shoot ourselves in the foot with things that seem relatively obvious and errors that are simple to limit. At this level, it is unforgivable." Sabri Lamouche after the loss last night. And now Alex Crook is saying that Lamouche has been sacked after one match. And that's where we are. Okay, so the defeat. So the Tunisian Football Federation, let me see if the Tunisian Football Federation have their own 280 character app. Football Tunisien. Okay, so let me see if it's dedicated to it, but it is not the official. And it hasn't posted anything since 2020. So let's see. Tunisia football. I'm sorry I'm doing a live search, but, Tunisia football. Football Tunisie. Okay. So there is nothing that I can find of an official account when it comes to what is going on with Tunisia. But apparently they are sacking Sabri Lamouche. Set to be sacked, according to your four-letter paper, has been sacked by others. So, once again, Sabri Lamouche looks like he has been sacked within the World Cup. End of the match. Okay, now this is also different. Fight broke out at the end of the match between Sabri Lamouche's son and a Tunisian supporter. Once again, this is from Tunisian media. So, fight broke out at the end of the match between Lamouche's son and a Tunisian supporter. Security intervened, reportedly struck the supporter, who sustained minor injuries. It should be noted that the national team's coach's son travels with the official delegation without holding any position within the national team. Notably appears in official photos alongside technical staff and has been spotted on the field with the players during training sessions without any official announcement from the Tunisian Football Federation mentioning his integration into staff. So either Lamouche has been sacked already, is about to be sacked. There was a fight alleged at the hotel, and apparently there was a fight alleged after the match with Lamouche's son and a Tunisian supporter. So apparently Tunisia is going to the front of the line when it comes to breaking news this morning. So we'll keep an eye on all of that as we go. All right, so that is the rundown of everything today. Once again, you got your 4 kicks. You got your folks. You got your cities that are gassed up, ready to go. Spain, a big favorite. Belgium, a big favorite. Uruguay, a big favorite. Iran a favorite at a -120. So once again, 4 matches today, and we're going to be all over the place and giving you all the coverage. So we've got this today, wrapping up about 9:30, and then from there, we'll have your coverage inside the building, and then from there, Atlanta Soccer tonight, 10 o'clock, full coverage, full recap of the day here at what will be Atlanta Stadium coming up at noon, and then it's going to be off and running. So that's where we are with all the things here coming up in just a bit. And that was going to be my question for you. All right, so. Okay, so, and Maddie apparently is either in the building, and Sophia is chasing after what she needs for her ability to work inside what will be Atlanta Stadium. All right. So once again, like I said, I'm sending notes as we go live here. So once again, I apologize. Okay. So I feel like I need like game show music or something. All right. So that's the rundown of all the news from yesterday, getting you set up for today from the World Cup perspective of things. Since we are here toward the end of hour number 1, let's take our hydration break because I need it for talking for 50 minutes. Hydration break brought to us by our friends at local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor Stores, 2 locations, Car Parkway and Johns Creek. And thanks to them for being great partners with us here starting here in 2026. And thanks for being a part of telling everything about the beautiful game. Once again, hydration break brought to us by our friends at local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor Stores, 2 locations, Johns Creek and Cobb Parkway. Great partners and great friends with us here at SDH. I believe we're going to have another couple of remotes from local Vine over the next little bit. So set your notifications there, and we'll let you know what the word is with all of that. Now, it is other news going on around the planet. Marc Cucurella looks like he's headed to Real Madrid after saying that he'd rather shave his head from signing there. About 55 plus 5 is the margin, 60 million euro total. In March, he joked he'd rather shave off his curls than play for Los Blancos. He reports to the Bernabeu this summer. Yaya Toure gets his first head coaching gig. Slovan Bratislava in Slovakia, 3-year deal. And along the lines of Cucurella, the Premier League is going to issue yellow cards for hair pulling starting next year, booking players for hair pulling in 26-27 rather than sending them off after 3 red cards were issued for the offense last season. A hair pull, quote, without excessive force or brutality will now carry a yellow. Without excessive force or brutality. You're yanking somebody's hair out at the roots, man. Fanatis is launching Fanatis 1, a new linear paid channel alongside an interactive YouTube hub targeting younger Hispanic audiences. Channel broadcast up to 15 live matches a week, anchored by the Brasileiro, Liga Uno, and the Liga Futve in Venezuela. Parent company FZ Sports, projecting 500 million combined subscriptions across U.S. platforms by 27. Well, good for our friends at Fanatis. New soccer channel in the U.S. Portugal's training session washed out in Palm Beach because of the weather. Mateus Nunes had been scheduled to speak. Players confined to their team bus. And so you end up with, man, team bus, people. Well, I mean, at Auburn, 3.12 inches of rain in 90 minutes. And Jordan Hare and the crew there, they were able to handle it. You know, Palm Beach, that's another thing entirely. That is a different kind. That is a different kind of rain. That is a different kind of stuff. So that is some stuff. Also, there is a report out there, and keep an eye on this, having to do with UEFA President Alexander Ceferin allegedly telling a conference in Slovenia before the tournament expanding from 32 to 48 has produced matches that are, in his word, uninteresting. Tell that to Cabo Verde, Curacao, Uzbekistan, DR Congo, Haiti, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt, Ghana, Senegal, the Ivory Coast, and South Africa, who all released a joint statement responding directly. They said that football's strength comes from its universality. That's why we play. That's why we play moments like hearing from Dick Advocaat and playing Curacao goals against Germany. Yeah, tell me it doesn't mean nothing. Tell me that's uninteresting. Bielsa and Uruguay. That's also that Uruguay and Saudi Arabia. Obviously, Bielsa going up against Saudi Arabia tonight at 6:00. That's going to be fun because we know what that brings to the table. We know that that's going to be some absolute crazy, and it wouldn't be a loco if it wasn't. So that's the fun part about the matchups for today. Once again, thanks for hanging out with us as you always do, and let's take a tour. Let's see if we have gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it. I think we know what the where to watch, what to watch, and how to watch it's going to be. Once again, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis. Big Fox has your day side. Spain on Cabo Verde, Belgium and Egypt, FS1, 6 and 9, Saudi Arabia, Uruguay, Iran, and New Zealand. Telemundo is going wall to wall. Frankly, I've enjoyed that. Fox ONE is going wall to wall. Peacock's going wall to wall. So that's everything today. Short of going into Fanatis and looking at other leagues from around the planet and looking at things there. Once again, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. All right, now, the gossip, rumor, and innuendo part of the equation. We do have rumors. We do have stuff. And so let's see if they have released their gossip, rumor, and innuendo on the day. And what do you know? We do. Okay, so we do have some before we go off the air this morning. AS Roma set to make a move to sign Marseille striker Mason Greenwood, according to Corriere dello Sport. After his issues at Manchester United, 26 goals in 45 matches last year, Roma looking for a new striker, ready to offer €40 million up front to land Greenwood while they look to include a clause that would give Marseille a percentage of the next transfer to sweeten the deal. Real Madrid and Arsenal expecting Manchester United to sign West Ham United midfielder Mateus Fernandes, and so they're turning to other targets. According to the three-letter paper, West Ham won a fee of £80 million from clubs looking to land Fernandes. United are hoping to negotiate following the Hammers' relegation from the Premier League. 21-year-old Portuguese international, key target alongside the £35 million arrival of Ederson from Atalanta. Forest's Elliot Anderson likely to move to Manchester City. Speaking of City and Arsenal, interested in signing Newcastle United midfielder Sandro Tonali, as reported by Nicolo Schira. Sorry, Alex. Newcastle won a fee of £100 million to let the 26-year-old let him leave. After a season where he impressed, Newcastle finishing 12th in the Premier League, Italy failing to qualify in the World Cup. Tonali's also been linked with United and AC Milan. United reported to have pulled back on their interest. Barcelona considering switching to Junior Krupi as a possible alternative to Julian Alvarez, according to Sport. Alvarez is still their priority. They won't pay over €100 million to sign a new striker, and that's what Bournemouth want for Krupi. The inclusion of a Barca player could make it a cheaper deal, though the club are wary of spending such a large amount on a young player, while he's been also the subject of interest from Arsenal and PSG. Final package for Bayern Munich to sign Eintracht Frankfurt left-back Nathaniel Brown is going to be €55 million, reported by Florian Plettenberg. Even so, details being discussed about the structure of the deal, including the balance between the fixed fee and the add-ons. All the documents and processes have been prepared for a swift medical. And once again, Nathaniel Brown scored as a part of the 7-1 win against Curacao. We mentioned Cucurella being a done deal. Ruben Amorim has emerged as a leading contender at AC Milan. Some folks are reporting this morning it's a here we go. Looking for a new coach after the departure of Max Allegri, fired after finishing 5th in Serie A, missing out on Champions League. Ruben Amorim, remember, had 14 months at Old Trafford. Ayoub Bouadi from Lille, seen interest in Arsenal, PSG, and Bayern Munich. Liverpool sent scouts to MetLife to watch the 18-year-old during Morocco's draw against Brazil. That's from Foot Mercato. Fabrizio Romano, Manchester City are confident Josko Vardiol is going to sign a new deal, despite him having been the subject of interest with Real Madrid. Nicolo Schira, Manchester United and Chelsea interested in signing Lewis Hall. Newcastle don't want to let the England left-back leave. Football Insider, Manchester City have turned their attention to Jared Branthwaite as they look to replace John Stones. Real Madrid, according to AS, retained their clause to re-sign Victor Munoz in a 3-club deal that sees the winger join Newcastle from Osasuna. That's from AS. Corriere dello Sport, Lazio's Mario Gila is Napoli's priority for their center-back position, having already announced his willingness to accept their offer. Gazzetta has Fiorentina demanding a fee of €30 million for the transfer of midfielder Cher Endur amid interest from Juve. Juve CEO Giovanni Carnevali plans to reopen contract talks with Dusan Vlahovic, according to avoid losing the striker as a free agent this summer. That's also from Gazzetta. Harvey Barnes at Newcastle, keen to move to Aston Villa ahead of the new season. That's from Football Insider. Internazionale looking at Lazio keeper Ivan Provedel as they aim to bring in someone to challenge Josep Martinez, Josep with a P. That's from Tuttosport. Fabian Rees's transfer from Hertha to Wolfsburg nearing completion, worth around €12 million from Sky Sports Deutschland. PSV Eindhoven wanted to trigger their €8 million clause to sign Roman left-back Anas Salah-Eddin permanently after his loan expired, unable to agree to a deal with the player, so he's going to return to Italy to assess his options. That is from Fabrizio Romano. So that is your gossip, rumor, and innuendo this morning. Let's check in with our buddy Ben Jacobs and see if there's anything that we have missed when it comes to everything going on. But obviously the lead story is the alleged, apparent, possible, probable sacking of the Tunisian coach after a thunderous loss. A thunderous loss last night, 5-1 to Sweden. So now we'll keep an eye on Tunisia for the day and see if anything official comes from the federation in and of itself. I may do some research here on the fly. So Pierre Sage's move to Crystal Palace has now been formalized, according to Ben Jacobs. 3-year deal. Crystal Palace paying £2.5 million in compensation. Lens could be eligible for $4 million with bonuses. So Pierre Sage goes from Lens to Crystal Palace. That's been formalized. According to Ben, after Tunisia sacked Sabri Lamouchi, Monter Kabayer is expected to take over for Tunisia. News confirmed, supposed to be confirmed in the next couple of hours. So once again, Sabri Lamouchi in Tunisia, keeping an eye on that one in the group. And Manchester United confirm an All or Nothing documentary on the 26-27 season, will be released next summer, aligned with the club's desire to be as transparent as possible with fans. The deal was brokered for a record access fee for any comparable documentary. Cameras are going to start in preseason, follow the men's first team as well as insight into the women's and academies teams. Ismail Saibari, you remember that he got the goal against Brazil 11 minutes before the equalizer. Set to join Bayern from PSV for a fee in excess of £45 million. We mentioned Cucurella at 55 plus 5. Let's see. We mentioned Yassine Ayari and the travel issues that were linked to Uruguay from Cancun to Miami. FIFA came out with a statement about 10 o'clock last night. Due to an airline permitting error in Mexico, the Uruguayan national team's departure from Cancun to Miami was delayed. Airline has apologized for the inconvenience caused. FIFA remained in close contact with Uruguay's national team throughout their delay, worked alongside airport and operational partners to help expedite the process and minimize disruption to the team's travel arrangements. So that came out yesterday that Uruguay had not made their way into the continental United States yet. And so back and forth between Uruguay and FIFA and the airline, that was the statement that was released once again about 10 o'clock. That was about 10 o'clock last night. So that was one of the other stories that was attached to what's going on. And so everyone is also saying close to being named manager for AC Milan is Ruben Amorim. So let me check and let me see. I'm gonna keep an eye on the story in Tunisia before we go off the air and see if there's anything that can be attached. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that we might have missed from a news perspective. Amorim agrees. Yassine Ayari. Obviously, there's a lot that is going on. FIFA is not going to punish Fox for coming in 10 seconds late off of the hydration break in Matchday 1. You'll remember that they went to their hydration break, they went to their ad break, and then they came back 10 seconds into play. And the explanation given by the network was they did not recognize that the center ref had come out of had gone to the break early. And so they were having to play catch up, and that's why they came back 10 seconds late after their hydration break ad break. And so FIFA's like, they're not going to punish Fox. They took the explanation and they were cool with it. So, and frankly, I watch a lot of Telemundo. That's just me. Jacob Steinberg at The Guardian. Daniel Kretinsky, owner of the Royal Mail, set to overtake David Sullivan as West Ham's largest shareholder after agreeing to buy an additional stake from the Gold family. The Czech billionaire has moved to increase his power after Sullivan stepped down as director and co-chair of the club last Saturday. Before the joint investigation by the Times and Panorama, you never want BBC Panorama doing an investigation on you, reporting on 7 women accusing him of abusing his power and preying on them that dates back to the 1980s and 90s. Kretinsky is going to increase his stake from 27 to 43% after agreeing to buy a portion of the shares from Vanessa Gold, who inherited her 25% stake after the death of her father in January of 23. Gold and Kretinsky have said the deal will be ratified in the next few weeks, revealed they have, quote, agreed to vote jointly on key matters and to support the strategy targeting an immediate return to the Premier League, end quote. And so now, as we bring him in batting 9th on a Monday, it's our buddy Abe Gordon. You're not batting leadoff this morning, sir. You're batting 9th.
What time did you start? I could have been here early. I was ready.
8:05.
All right.
Well, because of the noon kick at what soon will be Atlanta Stadium. And so I kind of had to, because if I'm going to get out of here and get down there in time, then, it's always started an hour or so. Match days that are going to be noon kicks at what will be Atlanta Stadium. I'm coming on early and then ending at 9:30 so I can hop the train in Marta down. So that's.
Well, I'm glad one of us got approved for tickets and we'll be there.
I mean, man, it's. I don't know how crazy it's going to be, but Atlanta gets the chance to show off today with Spain and Cabo Verde and all the talk and all this time, and now it's finally here. With your activity, what has it been like talking about it in the Abe TL?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think obviously you get started Thursday, but the U.S. national team, their performance kind of set the World Cup on fire, and it really carried throughout the weekend. Just some incredible performances, some insane results, unexpected. I would say group changing or group altering at times. And so the great thing about the World Cup starting the way it has is you can already start to build the significance of certain matchups on the second match day for each group. And some groups that you thought, including USA's group, you thought it would come down to a specific match, is actually going to come down to a different match. And Canada is in their group is anyone's game there in Group B.
That one, man, that one you could, if it continues to be the way that it is,
yeah,
you could have that 4-way tiebreaker, and you could have a team. I think a couple of cycles back, you had a team that hadn't lost the match not go into the knockouts because of all the tiebreakers here.
Yeah, and you start to feel bad at times. I think probably Haiti might be on the rough end of this thing, because now Brazil and Morocco, after their draw, they've played for goal differential based on what potentially could happen with Scotland grabbing a victory. So now Haiti may get poured upon. We saw over the weekend with Ivory Coast in their late winner. Ecuador's in some trouble now. And so just really great stuff to open up the World Cup, to really open the groups up and kind of see, hey, man, this team you thought could compete for first in a group is maybe now competing for third in a group. And yeah, man, just a great start. And certainly I look, with respect to Sweden and respect to Germany, I still think the U.S. has put on the performance of the Cup so far.
And we apparently even have our first apparent alleged sacking. Tunisia, after what happened last night. We have to keep an eye on this, because it is alleged that there was a fight at the team hotel after the loss. And there was also apparently an altercation. And this is, once again, published reports out of Tunisia. Yes, they do have a whole lot of followers on the 280-character app. But once again, us being detached from our Tunisian sources that we have on a ready basis, that the coach's son apparently got into an altercation with a fan and security for the team And so Tunisia is already a mess. You got thumped last night 5-1 by Sweden. Graham Potter, who knew? And now Tunisia apparently might be looking for a caretaker manager after one match in the group stage.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, it's probably not going to help because it's only getting tougher with Netherlands and Japan coming, and they played an outstanding game yesterday to a 2-2 draw. I think Netherlands did what they wanted to do, and at the same time, Japan kind of did what they wanted to do in terms of the counterattack and stretching the field when they had the opportunities. That's the other thing. Some of these draws have been really, really fun and really enjoyable. Some late winners or equalizers over the course of the tournament make you wonder the impact the Heat is having on some of these teams. And we've seen 84th, we've seen 89th, we saw 94th. And the results are changing groups and changing games. It's just been a really, really fun start to the World Cup. And you look ahead at some of the games, not just today, but France and Senegal tomorrow. I think you have to underline or circle or bold, whatever you do to denote it as important. England, Croatia on Wednesday as well. And then you get right back into the second match day for some of these teams. So it's going fast, but there's also so much in front of us. It's just an exciting time. Probably don't need another midnight kickoff by teams in the U.S.'s group, but we make do.
Oh, man. I know. It is going to be, I'd like to sit here and say that, we're going to take the month of August off, but we can't. It's going to be late nights and early mornings and fueled by caffeine. And it's been fun so far. You mentioned the U.S., and I know that you can't ask for anything, I don't think, any more perfect than what they were able to do in their opener. And it was fun to watch, and you're kind of sitting there and you're wondering, okay, maybe there was stuff that we weren't shown and we weren't told that you saw in the tape that Mauricio Pochettino and the staff saw. And it was unleash the hounds, and good luck trying to catch up with all this pressure. I think to that point, the hydration break for ad break, obviously. But I think the hydration break when it comes to coaching adjustments, I mean, literally, it's like taking a 30. You get to talk to your team. You get to readjust. For teams that press a lot, it gives them a chance to catch their breath for 3 minutes, and they get to recharge. So what we're used to seeing with pressing teams may not necessarily be the case. And then goals scored because of the adjustments that you have in your TV timeout. I'm looking forward to that too, because we've already had one of those in the tournament. So the hydration break is kind of being an introducing supporting actor in all of this too.
Yeah, and again, we talked about it. How are you going to use it? Are you using it as a hydration break? I know people are having their fun, and they're concerned about how it's breaking up the flow of the game and all that. But or are you using it as almost a quarter mark and getting some real coaching involved in there? And I think you've seen at times teams come out of the hydration break on fire, or teams come out of the hydration break sluggish. And it's a learning experience. I don't think it's necessarily going to shape the entirety of the World Cup, but I think teams are learning what they have to do in terms of keeping momentum or giving momentum, gaining it back over the course, whatever it is. But look, I'm not in love with it. I think it's longer than it needs to be. If it's a hydration break, make it a hydration break. You get a minute, run to the sideline, get some water, get some food, and get back out there. We know what it is. It's a commercial break. And so, it's not about hydration. Although I'll tell you what, I did run this morning. I went right through my entire water bottle very quickly. So the hydration can be a problem. There's no doubt about that. But it is what it is. It's a commercial break, and they're making their money. I wish I could see some of it, but we don't. But I think you'll see teams adjust and learn as they get into their second game with a hydration break or their third game with a hydration break about probably what methods work best for them in terms of making sure you don't lose momentum, or if you have lost momentum, making sure you can find a way to get it back coming out of the break. But it just use it intelligently and make sure you do what you need to coming out of it, and it won't be too big of an impact.
Surprised as good and bad for you have been what so far?
In terms of like teams and results, surprise, like obviously Ivory Coast over Ecuador late but that's a fun surprise. Like I don't want like bum surprises. I want the fun surprises. I think Qatar in their game was outstanding in the equalizer in the 94th minute against Switzerland. I thought Brazil and Morocco was exactly what you would expect. And I think for people who are maybe just tuning in and haven't paid attention to Morocco, it's a good team. They're right there, with Brazil in the world rankings. I would say the biggest surprise is probably Scotland, getting off to a good start and just the fan reaction. Fans probably have an idea of what the top level of your performance is over the course of the World Cup.
Right.
And so getting the goal, getting a win, taking 3 points, you're now in position, if you're Scotland, to advance. And I mean, goodness, if you could find a draw, maybe you can squeak into second place in your group based on what you've done so far. And so Scotland's one of the teams where I'm like, all right, they're making like not noise because, within reality, what is it going to be? But and then the other one is just the group group changing result at midnight. I think Australia over Turkey has completely altered Group D. I think almost all of us has looked at, all right, that third match day, it's US and it's Turkey. They're both going to be sitting on 6 points. Are we looking at goal differential? Does that mean the US has to win? Would a draw because of goal differential get them, the group instead of Turkey? That's all gone. It's completely off the table now based on what you have in front of you. The group is now decided by US, Australia on Friday. And so you can essentially render that Turkey game meaningless on your own behalf if you handle business. And so, I did not expect Australia to take the win there. And it just is completely adjusted which game is most important now for the U.S.
Yeah, and it has been fun to see the competitiveness across the board. For those that may not necessarily have sat there and looked at a team like a Morocco, and then you have Morocco trading punches with a Brazil. I don't know, and the thing that got me is that literally folks were sitting there and saying in some circles that Brazil is, that this is an unexpected Brazil team. And I'm paraphrasing. Basically, this Brazil team is a surprise, and they're flying below the radar. They're number 6 in the world, people. How can this be a surprise? Tell me that you're not watching soccer without not watching soccer. It's just pay attention, people. The matches are fun. And you get that 93rd, 94th minute winner. You get the one with the Ivory Coast at 90. These are matches that you cannot sit on, and you can't just kind of sit there and casually think that one thing or another is going to happen. We've seen so far, I mean, you mentioned Netherlands and Japan. That one was crazy for a 4-goal thriller. Ivory Coast and Ecuador, for only having 1 goal scored, was a fun game. And you don't necessarily associate a 1-goal game, a 1-0 game with being fun, but because of how Ecuador plays with Sebastian Becasese as their coach, and we know what they bring to the table, just watch the games and enjoy the games. Don't necessarily get caught up in what you may think about a team because of a ranking this so far in a group stage.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. We've got a couple 1-1 draws. We got a 1-0 win for Scotland, a 1-0 win for Ivory Coast. I don't think I've seen a bad or boring game yet. Like literally, I'm looking at every game, every result, and I'm just running through it. And I guess to an extent, Germany Curacao was boring because the result was obvious, but you saw some really nice play. I mean, honestly, like Germany goes up 1-0, and I thought that was it for Curacao, even to find an equalizer 8 minutes later, even though they went on to cede 6 more goals, just to draw back level 1-1. But if you're scoring goals, it's tough for a game to be boring, even when goals are being scored, just because of the quality there.
Yeah.
There hasn't been just that one dreadful, this is a slog game. It hasn't been a single one of those yet. And so you may get some of those on the third match days as teams are like, all right, we both are in for a draw. Let's just kind of,
we'll have a
play
kick
it out.
Yeah.
But, there's just been a lot of really good games, fun games, even the draws. Brazil-Morocco was as entertaining as could be out of a draw. Obviously, you mentioned Netherlands-Japan. Couldn't wait to see how that thing was going to wrap up. And the other draw that was incredible was Qatar so late in the match. finding an equalizer and making that group all sorts of wonky. So, it's just been a great start to the World Cup. It really has been. And the good news thus far, a little past halfway through match day 1 for the groups, hasn't looked like there's been any significant injuries that are group changing or World Cup defining. Obviously, Pulisic got kicked in the back of the leg. I kind of tend to agree that's a little more cautionary.
Yeah.
The substitution at halftime, I expect to see him go certainly Friday, but other than him, you just don't want to see someone go down that kind of defines the World Cup. And hopefully we don't see that the rest of the way.
Yeah. Is there anything that now that we've been here for a handful of days with the World Cup going, is there anything that you are looking forward to doing here in the city when you have time to breathe? Have you got a wish list of things to do now that we're up and running?
No, I might try and get out to one of the local watch parties, but I'm not. It's too hot out, man, and like the crowds and the heat and my ability to sweat profusely don't go together a ton. So I'm relatively happy just hanging out in air conditioned somewhere watching a game. But we may try and catch one of the more public viewings at some point.
All right. So what are you up to today?
I mean, look, the game here is at noon. I will be in studio, unfortunately. I will be doing my regular 9 to 5, or more specifically,
air conditioning,
11 to 2. That's right. I will be in the air conditioning, but it'll be on. And then, look, just gearing up for the whole day. I think this Belgium-Egypt game is really interesting. We've seen Sweden and Germany take care of business with high scores. I'm interested to see if Belgium can do that as well. Just because there's been like a little mark now set by some of these European squads. So interested to see if Belgium can kind of continue that trend against what should be a pretty game Egypt squad. Noon kickoff local time there for the Seattle, obviously 3:00 here, but interesting that Seattle called a noon game as well.
East Coast nooner, West Coast nooner.
Yeah.
As always, my friend, great to see you. I know I'm probably going to go to the Waffle House pop-up store and buy all the Waffle House soccer gear now that they've rolled that out. They're evil people. As always, my friend, great to see you. You don't just have to come in here at this time on Mondays. If you need something to vent your spleen about, just knock on the door and come on in. It was great to see you, and stay air-conditioned and hydrated. So we'll see you next time.
Yeah, will do, man. Enjoy the games.
All right, there goes Abe Gordon in his normal slot. And normal slot just means that he's letting everything go today. All right, so once again, Ropes, apparently, if you need a couch, Ropes' couch is free. And Dell is apparently making his way in from Charleston. And apparently the MARTA is already off and running. They are jammed at Inman Park in Reynoldstown, heading in for match day noon kick, Spain and Cabo Verde, inside what will be Atlanta Stadium. And we'll have all the coverage for you all day long on the SDH network. So that is, so it'll be Sophia, Maddie, me, Jason, all in the building, and we'll let you know what's going on all day long, and we'll break it all down for you as the day progresses. Remember, tonight, Atlanta Soccer tonight, 10 o'clock, 92.9 The Game, 92.9thegame.com, Odyssey app, 92.9 YouTube channel. That's going to be there with Jason and laying everything out with what happened today, and he'll have that one match still going on while he's on with you. 10 o'clock, the three-dimensional experience, and once again, stoppage time on the 92.9 YouTube channel after that. And we'll lay it all out for you tomorrow. Tomorrow, KCD is going to join us. We also find out what's going on with the Boys and Girls Clubs here in Atlanta. And it's going to be a fun conversation about how what's going on gets to impact what's going on with the YMCA and with the YMCA here locally. So it's going to be a fun conversation. That's going to be tomorrow as well. Bart Keeler, going to try to figure out where I can put Bart in the show, either lead off or at the end, because Bart is going to Seattle for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And so maybe Bart can file some late night reports. Just saying. All right. So that is the rundown for today. Enjoy today. If you're here in Atlanta, if you're coming to Atlanta, enjoy the experience, dress comfortably, stay hydrated, enjoy the experience, share it with others, and we'll have the stories starting today for the first of 8 match days here in Atlanta at what will be Atlanta Stadium in about 2.5 hours. So for everybody here at SDH, thanks for dropping by for a very early SDH AM. Back to normal time tomorrow, 9:05. And we'll break it all down then. Say hi to all your friends, enjoy the experience, and enjoy the world as they focus on Atlanta here on a match day. So since it is the end of the show, it is wall-to-wall coverage. I wish, some points might be couch-to-couch coverage, Ropes, but wall-to-wall coverage with us here at SDH, and we'll be back at it again later tonight, and with all the coverage that we have on the network, and then stoppage, Atlanta Soccer tonight, then back at it again, 9:05 normal time tomorrow. And thank you, Alex, for setting having the bat signal as part of your day as well for our early wake-ups. And we're going to have another early wake-up Thursday, I believe. Another 8:05 till 9:30. And it is it's going to be fun. Typhane Bernard, New Yorker living in France, up in arms about the World Cup, calling it the World Cup of shame. It's not so far. I mean, about what? I mean, I'm sure that L'Equipe has gone nuts. I mean, and if they're talking about it, Typhane, and by the way, thanks for dropping by. Do not be a stranger. If you're looking at it, you can look at it from two perspectives, and this is how we'll wrap today. You can look at it from two perspectives. The geopolitical perspective, and those are obvious talking points. You can look at it from the story perspective and the athletic perspective, and that's another way of looking at what's been going on. We're looking at it from all the great stories. Now, we're not ignoring what's going on around the competition, but we're also focusing on all the great stories that are attached. Curacao, Cabo Verde, Uzbekistan, all of the things, all of those great stories that are attached. It's about Lawrence, Kansas. It's about Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's about Spokane, Washington. It's about all of these places that get to embrace the World Cup in and of itself and the stories that you get to share and tell and bring with you going forward. Yes, David, it was an early start today. First day back from Ohio, not on the schedule uptake. When we have noon kicks during the tournament, we're going to go at 8:05 because I got to get out of here to go down to what will be Atlanta Stadium. So later this week, we've got another 8:05, and I think there's an 8:05 on Saturday morning as well. And that one might be just a power hour. But any noon kick in Atlanta, so we can still have a morning show, 8:05, and I think that's next one's on Thursday. And so it's like today, Thursday, and Sunday, I think, are the 8:05s, I think. But anyway, noon kicks at Atlanta Stadium, 8:05 here to start, so we can get out of here and head downtown. So, Typhane, I would say this, to your point. Look, it's obviously they're looking at it from two perspectives, and I understand that. We're looking at it from the storytelling perspective, not ignoring the other parts, but we're looking at it from the storytelling perspective and what's going on the field and in the venues and all of the stories and all of the athletes that you get to learn about going forward. So stadiums have been pretty full. And I think in Houston for their first match, they were only 1,300 short of capacity. And I don't know where those seats were, whether they were up in the top or if they were in the really expensive ones. We'll find out what it's like today in Atlanta with Spain and Cabo Verde. We'll have it all for you on the network. So, Typhane, do not be a stranger. It's great to have you here. We're on an hour later to start tomorrow. That's our traditional start time. So for you, it would be 2 o'clock normal start time, Monday through Friday, and during the World Cup every day. But this morning, because of an early kick in Atlanta, we're on 1 o'clock your time to start. So normally 2 o'clock your time to start. 9 plus 5 is 14. So 2 o'clock normal time to start there in France. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of things. Do not be a stranger. It's great to have you a part of the SDH community. So glad you're here. David apparently has space for cars and a partial shuttle ride if he's at home. So well done. So thanks to David. Thanks to Ropes. Thanks to Alex. And trying to see who else is in here this morning. A bunch of bots are in here this morning. So bots go away. Back at it again, once again, 9:05 tomorrow morning, Eastern U.S. time. I say that for Typhane because he's in France. We'll let everybody know what happened today, tomorrow. Atlanta Soccer tonight, 92.9 The Game, plus SDH Network all day long, all the coverage. Me, Maddie, Sophia, Jason, we're all there. Since it's the end of the show, that means one thing. It means I get to do this. So I'm out and I'm heading downtown. Enjoy the experience today, folks. It's going to be a fun one. Back at it before you know it.